Hello, my art peeps. Friends, I hope you're doing well today. I wanted to share with you a single watercolor rose and discuss some frustrations that I encountered while painting this. And while I was really striving for that realism and perfection, I got really frustrated. So let's just dive into that a little bit. All right, so let's just talk about some frustrations today. Everybody encounters frustrations while they're painting. It usually comes from striving for that realism and that perfection. I have been painting lots of flowers lately. Roses are still my biggest nemesis. And I just want to share with you that frustration that I had while painting a rose. Now, I did the open rose and I'm getting better at this. Kind of have a handle on the shape of the flower, but it was the closed petal that really got me, or the closed bud. I just want to acknowledge that, many artists really experience frustration when their paintings don't meet their expectations, and really, especially when you're trying to achieve that realism or the perfection in your work, and that tendency to really become overcritical of your own art, kind of falling into that pressure of creating something that's flawless. So I've been sharing some of my roses on my Facebook page and on my Instagram page, and I'm getting so many lovely comments about my flowers, and because I've always said, I'm not a flower artist, I don't paint flowers, and I have been really focused on flowers probably for the past 2 months. I have just come so far, and then setbacks like this will drive you crazy because you're doing fine, you're painting along, and then boom, something hits you. And rose just wasn't working out, and I thought I'd just share with you the frustration that I had and take you through that process. I ended up recording it. I put it away at one point, and I was about ready to stop, and I was like, you know what, this is a great time just to keep going, share that thought process, what's going on in my head. And I thought that you might enjoy that because you know that you're not alone with these frustrations, kind of working your way through it, shifting your mind, your focus about that perfection, and really embracing the imperfection, and just really trying to find some joy in that frustration and just improve the overall experience. Because I was like, okay, I'm going to put the brush down again, I'm going to walk away. But this time I came back to it and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to let it defeat me. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to try a different angle at this. So this isn't a rose tutorial per se. This is just me demonstrating what I went through, how I did just change my focus. So I started off, I'm going to do this really nice, light, loose looking rose. And as I'm shaping this up, I'm like, okay, this is not working. I was trying to leave some space in there, and I didn't want to paint every individual petal. I was trying to do that really loose look, but it just looked too much like a blob, and there was like nothing more that I could do with it at that point. Instead of focusing on, like my expressive brush stroke, I did have to switch this out and go with a little bit more rigid precision with this one. And it's okay. I always say I don't like the realistic flowers, but let me tell you, by the time I got done with this, I was really happy with it. So I encourage you to experiment with different techniques, experiment with layering your colors. And you can see that I ended up just taking a paper towel, I dabbed that entire thing off, I went back in and I sketched it. I was like, you know what, this is just the type of flower I'm going to need to just have a little bit more precision with. So I did each individual petal separately, and that gave me that space in between the flowers, because you can see there's a lot of highlights in this one. And again, I don't know why, but I just felt like this one needed that more precision. So I went in with a light wash. I am now adding in a little bit darker value on the edge, because you can see those really dark outlines on the petal itself. So I've kind of been talking myself through these past few months as well, with my frustration, and just kind of telling myself, you know what, I really need to embrace the mistakes and the imperfections and just take those as an opportunity to grow and to learn. So I encourage you to really adopt that mindset of that curiosity or the exploration, and just give yourself that freedom to make mistakes and learn from them along the way. I'm going in here, I'm trying to lift out some paint, and again, I want that nice little highlight in there. And as I was doing it, I'm like, well, well, let's just try this the opposite way. So I'm gonna I grabbed a different brush I'm trying to lift, and again, it was a nice pale shape. I don't have a lot of brushes here with me, and I really needed something to pull that paint out and with a very fine line. So I opted for going for the opposite. So I'm gonna grab my calligraphy pen here, and I'm actually just gonna scratch those marks in. So instead of it being lifted out, it's going to actually add some paint in. So where I use those scratch marks, it's going to actually put in a darker value. So you can see I tried a couple different brushes here, and I mean, you can see a little bit there, and it probably would have been okay, but I have the pencil lines in there, so I just thought, well, again, I'm experimenting. I'm trying not to get frustrated. I'm just going to go with it. So the calligraphy pen worked, and you can see I'm just putting it in here while it's wet, and you can see the great little lines. Look at that. It just like appears really slowly as that pigment settles into those little cracks. So I kind of want to just think about that for a second. I want to just share that I started off with that main shape, that very simple shape, and I gradually built some confidence as I was working with it. The first few minutes, I was just like, this just is not working. I have just a blob and I'm not liking it. But now that I have this one petal down, I'm like, okay, this is working. I'm getting a little bit more confidence as I do it. So try practicing. Try like little simple exercises to help you, with those basic skills. And as you get a little bit more familiar with your watercolor techniques, you can maybe attempt some more complex subjects, which would be this rose. It has a lot of fine, intricate little details that I just felt that it needed because it was just a simplistic look. I went through some things in my head, and I knew that I needed to remind myself the most important part of painting is enjoying the process and having fun with it, and just experiment. So I encourage you just to try different approaches, try watercolor rose, try unconventional colors maybe, experiment with different compositions. Like if you have a rose, take pictures of it in different angles. I absolutely loved the open rose that I did. And so, again, don't give up. Keep trying, keep playing, and I think you're really going to learn some ways to overcome those frustrations and just embrace them just by practicing. So at this point, I kind of took a step back. I forgot to hit the record button again, but I did do a little bit more in the stem. And then I switched to that really loose feel as I was painting the leaves on this one. So I was thinking, this is just really a little bit too rigid. It just wasn't in my happy place still, because I don't like that. I guess I don't like the frustration that it causes me when I'm doing something that is more realistic and as far as the flower goes. So this is where I really just started to have a lot of fun. I started just, doing these funky little shapes. I mean, this I didn't even look at the rose anymore. I know that the leaves here are a little bit different shape, but I'm getting lots of different colors in here now. I'm really kind of going out of the box with some blues and some greens, some Payne's gray, and I was just really having a good time painting in the leaves. And I got my calligraphy pen back out again, and I started to putting a little bit of the texture into the leaves. So I would love to know in the comments down below what you find to be some of the biggest struggles that you've had to overcome. I'm curious, is it with clouds, with landscapes, with flowers? Is it the mixing of the colors? Is it lights and darks, shapes? Always love to hear where people are struggling. And just know that you are not alone. If you read the comments down below and you share yours, we'll take a look at all of the different things that we as artists or as people that are even just learning some of the things that we all go through, and we all go through it. So I would love to hear what you have to say on that. And now I'm adding in just a little bit of my Doc Martens white, again, adding a little bit more of that color in there and some lighter greens down on the bottom because let's face it, it's looking more like a realistic flower. Even put another little wash on here. I decided I wanted to go just a little bit darker in some of those areas. And this is where you can really start to kind of play back and forth and add more details in. It was fine the way it was, but you can continue to work on these as well. And this is where I left it. I was like, okay, we're going to leave it at this. I probably could put more of that white in there because when I went over with that other layer, I lost some of that white again. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you can take something from this and know not to worry about stuff so much. Just have fun with the experiments and play. And don't forget to leave me a like and a share. It means so much to me. Thank you for growing my channel with me. And we'll see you in the next one.